As most of you know, this isn't just a pretty workshop for YouTube. There's a lot more going on than you typically see on camera, and over the years I've employed several people to help out here behind the scenes. I may not make many project videos because the focus of this channel is more on the shop itself, but this is an actual working shop where things do get made. And as the owner, it's my responsibility to make sure everyone who steps through the door is safe from injury or from ticking me off. Because there are certain things that can get you tossed out of here faster than you can say, should I have used a coaster on that table saw? I admit some of these may seem a little petty. Others, though, are so mind-numbingly stupid, it's a wonder that anyone would think to do it. But all of these things have actually happened, either in my shop or I've seen them in someone else's shop. After I'm done showing them to you, leave a comment below telling me what you think. Am I overreacting? Or share something that you can't abide in your shop. I don't understand the modern fascination with flip-flops. If you aren't at the beach or in a shower at some seedy truck stop, wear shoes like an adult. Nobody wants to see your nasty feet. And worse yet, flip-flops and sandals are a terrible idea in the workshop. I don't care what some guy on the internet does. It's a good way to get your foot broken or even worse. First, they fail to provide even basic support for your foot. That can lead to arch injuries and stress fractures. They also provide zero protection if something is dropped on your toes, and they can negatively affect your gait, which can cause tripping and stumbling, the last thing you want to be doing around shop machines. So keep your nasty hammer toes inside a pair of shoes like God intended. We all evolve over time. I used to wear rings in the workshop. Then I had a serious injury that was nearly made much worse by the titanium ring on my finger. If you ever want to know why rings are banned in so many workshops, Google degloving. But I warn you, the images you'll see are not for the faint of heart. They are so bad, I guarantee that this will scare you straight against ever wearing metal rings in the shop again. I do still like, though, to wear something on my finger just to tell the ladies there's nothing here for them but heartbreak. Silicone rings are softer than your fingers, so they'll snap before you do. You can get them for just a few bucks online. This video was shot a few years ago right here in my shop, and I didn't see the clip until it was already online. Otherwise, I would have pulled it from this video. Instead, it became a learning experience. Loose clothing is a bad idea around any machine, especially one with spinning parts. In this case, that shirt tail could have got sucked into the jointer and who knows what else may have followed. It's not all about shirt tails, though. I used to yell at Mustache Mike all the time about his loose sleeves. Eventually, I instituted a rule that anyone with loose sleeves had to wear wristbands whenever they were in the shop. And this principle applies to gloves, too. If the tool spins, the gloves come off. I'd rather risk a splinter than a finger or an entire arm. Of course, whenever I talk about gloves in the shop, people ask if I think nitrile gloves are okay. In my opinion, nitrile and other similar gloves are like silicone rings. They'll tear before you do. Let me be clear, I don't have a problem with all music in the workshop. I just have a problem with garbage assaulting my ear holes. Don't be playing that incoherent mumbling that passes for rap music or that new hip-hop country crap. Of course, this doesn't mean folks can't indulge their poor taste in the privacy of their own ear canals. Everyone that steps foot in my shop is handed a set of IsoTunes Bluetooth headphones, not only to protect their ears, but as long as they're working alone and there's no need to communicate with others, music in the workshop is fine with me. Now you may be thinking, shouldn't all music be banned in the shop because it might be distracting and complete focus is required when using machines like table saws? I actually get that question a lot, and here's my answer. In nearly every operating room in America, surgeons listen to every type of music imaginable, some even at high volume, while they're holding life in their hands. However, if you find music distracting, you absolutely should not listen to it. In that case, I recommend pressing the pause button on the side of the headphones when you turn the tool on, and then you can resume listening when you're finished. Some tools are so poorly thought out that they just have no place in my workshop at all. A chainsaw disc on an angle grinder is a perfect example. Angle grinders aren't chainsaws. They lack the basic safety functions that chainsaws have, like blade brakes and slow speed motors and drive sprockets that are designed so that they will clog when you cut into the fibrous material on chainsaw safety gear, like chaps and gloves. A chainsaw's most dangerous kickback zone is its sharply curved tip, but on an angle grinder, the whole thing is a kickback zone. Chains also break. It's not even rare. What do you think will happen if one of the angle grinder disc chains breaks while it's spinning at 11,000 RPM and there's nothing to keep it attached to the disc? If you have one of those things, throw it in the trash today. People die from them. You can Google those pictures if you want to. There are other ways to carve without risking your life or limbs. My grandfather could tell if anyone was in his workshop by the position of the tools. I'd get in trouble all the time for not putting things back in exactly the right place. Now that I have my own shop, I sort of get it. There's nothing worse than looking for a tool and not finding it because someone didn't put it back. If I let you in my shop, I expect you to repay me by leaving it the way you found it. No, that doesn't mean putting all the tools on a bench for me to sort out because you forgot where they all go. It's your responsibility to remember where you got them and then return them to that same drawer, cabinet, or rack when you finished using them. Take notes, take pictures, do whatever it takes. That's just the price you pay to use my shop. And believe me, it's a lot less than I paid to provide the shop for your use. And while you're at it, clean up your mess. I keep a neat and clean workshop that's a pleasure for everyone to work in. I don't need to be vacuuming up your sawdust and washing out your coffee mug. If you don't know how to operate a broom or a vacuum, you're not smart enough to operate a table saw. And before you ask, yes, my shop is carpeted. It's quieter, it's warmer, it's more comfortable, and it's no more difficult to run a vacuum over it than it is to sweep a concrete floor. I'm not the safety police. I'm never going to come into your shop and tell you what risks are acceptable for you to take with your tools. But when you enter my shop, that responsibility is no longer yours alone. My shop, my rules. And those rules include using a blade guard for every cut that can possibly be made with one in place. So if I catch you with the guard off, you'd better be able to convince me it was absolutely necessary for that cut. Otherwise, it goes back on, and if it keeps happening, you go out. I also don't allow other safety devices to be disabled, like the guard on the jointer or the trigger safety on a nail gun. I expect you to use push sticks and safety glasses and hearing protection. And the beer and the bourbon in the office are only for after the tools are put away for the day. Again, you can be dumb on your own time in your own shop, but not in mine. This one used to get folks thrown out of my shop, but believe it or not, I've changed my mind about this one. How many of you have cringed when you see someone set a drink down on a cast iron surface like a table saw or a bandsaw? Many times you'd end up scrubbing and sanding away a rust ring the next day. And it's usually the people who should know better. But I think this solves that problem. This table saw isn't extra shiny because I polish it every day. It's shiny because it's nickel plated. You can pour water right on the top and let it evaporate. It's not going to rust. Same with my bandsaw and with my router table. Of course, the purpose of the nickel plating isn't just to save the lives of those who are careless with their drinks in my workshop. It's there to protect the tools from corrosion. So if you live in a humid area, for example, or if you heat your shop while you're working, but you let the temperature drop when you aren't, this will keep the rust off not just the top, but also the internal components. Everything that's cast iron is also nickel plated. Plus, it does look pretty nice. So what do you think? Am I going too far? Am I not going far enough? What would you add to this list of things that will get folks tossed out of your shop? Leave a comment below. But before you do, you'll want to see this. This is obviously not something that they invented, but they made it more affordable, significantly so. And that's a good thing because this will make your table saw safer to use. On the bottom are grippy pads to control both halves of a workpiece throughout the cutting process, while the angled handle on top encourages pressure against the fence and down on the table at the same time. Now this greatly reduces the chance that an offcut will turn and bind between the blade and the fence, which is a major cause of kickback and amputations. The body of the jig also bridges over the top of the saw blade, protecting your hand should something go wrong if you don't have a blade guard installed. You can even use two of them together to walk longer rips through the blade for a more fluid, smoother feed with maximum control and protection. Because every situation is different, the Grabber Pro is adjustable. You can change the configuration of the soles to cut strips as narrow as 1/8 of an inch without cutting into the block. If you want extra stability for narrow workpieces, you can lower the support foot on the side. And there's a removable, replaceable sacrificial heel catch on the back for even more pushing power. I make as many cuts as possible with my table saw's blade guard in place. But when you do have to remove the guard, or if your saw doesn't have a guard, this is a significant safety upgrade in my opinion. And it can be used on the router table, on the jointer, even on the bandsaw, so you're going to get a lot of use from your investment. As I said, it's significantly less expensive than the other version on the market, yet the build quality is excellent. And the Grabber Pro comes with both 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch thin strip attachments right out of the box. And when you consider that, I think it comes in at almost half the price. So do yourself a favor and use the link below this video to check it out for yourself.